Hello guys, and for quite a long period of time, high interest rates and mounting debts were destroying businesses, private entrepreneurs inside Russia. But now the number of these bad loans is so high that it threatens to destroy all the banking system of the Russian Federation. An extremely big amount of bad loans, and let me translate from this economic vocabulary, bad loans are the ones that the companies or people cannot return, and signal about that by not paying in time or not being able to cover the necessary sum. So, such big Russian banks as Sberbank and VTB report that up to 5-7% of all loans they have are bad. And during 2025, in general, we may say that the sum that Russians and companies owe the Russian banking system grew tremendously, and now it is 2.3 trillion rubles. That is approximately $27 billion, and I love how they start measuring everything in trillions in Russia if they are talking about the budget, if they are talking about the amounts of money that they lack for something. It's always trillions. That is the size of the problem. It's measured in trillions. More and more companies that previously actively cooperated with banks now report that these high interest rates literally destroy all of their profit. And they have to pay up to 39% of everything they earn to cover these high interest rates. And there is no way out, because in the previous years, the central bank, for example, could have saved VTB and Sberbank by providing some financial help. But now the Russian budget is empty. Not just empty, it also lacks, trillions of rubles. So let's discuss what is happening inside the Russian banking system and why it's so important that not minor banks, but actually VTB and Sberbank are talking about this. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, in our capital, Kyiv, and if you want to see the defeat and demilitarization of Russia that is closely connected with the state of the economy and banking system, subscribe and share these videos to spread the truth. So let's begin with this report of pro-Kremlin activists and economists who are shouting that the number of the bad loans is too high. What does it mean? That 5-7% of all the loans in big banks like Sberbank and VTB is bad. People will not return them. Companies will not return them. Big, previously trustworthy companies will not return them. And the whole sum in 2025 reached 2.3 trillion rubles. Remember, they have trillions of rubles lacking in the budget already. Then it's equal to 27 billion. For a very long period of time, the banks were restructuring these loans. This means they were providing different conditions, trying to help companies and people out, hoping that maybe in a couple of months they will get money. But it's just an escape tactics. It does not solve a problem because the stagflation is growing. The problems inside the Russian budget are growing, and they keep attacking Ukrainian kitchens and bedrooms with multi-million-dollar missiles. Absurdity, madness, but that's what is the Kremlin regime all about. And they restructured these debts, but it didn't work out. And now Sberbank, VTB are openly talking that this can undermine the stability of their system. And once again, previously, they would address the central bank of the Russian Federation that could rescue them, at least for some period of time, and maybe. No, now the Central Bank of Russia, the National Wealth Fund that should be renamed into the National Poverty Fund, do not have any possibility for that because they don't have money. And big companies that previously were trustworthy debtors, it's a part of the big business, now report that 39% of their profits are eaten, if it's possible to say so, by the high interest rates. And they literally don't earn anything, and this amount of money that they have to pay to cover interest rates tripled during these 2 years, which is another proof Putin did not plan a blitzkrieg. He did not have resources and money for that. And on my new channel, Anna Danilchuk, I have a video where we analyze recent interviews of Russian generals, Russian captains who talk about these things that failed blitzkrieg revealed about this war and about the state of the Kremlin and the Russian army. So do check the video that I connect here. And in total, the overall corporate profits of various companies in Russia dropped 8.3% in 2025. And a number of loans and bonds that they had to take increased 10%. So it just like literally shakes the banking system from inside. And it was interesting for me to try and find some information about which spheres of the Russian economy, of the Russian industry suffer the most. And I don't think you will be surprised. It's construction, manufacturing, wood processing, and car production. In a healthy country with adequate vision of its future, such industries would be a priority. Homes for people to live, cars for people to drive. But in Russia, they prefer to destroy their country from inside, but instead to have this opportunity to destroy Ukrainian homes. That is insane. It cannot have any explanation, and you cannot literally negotiate anything with a person that does not see a reality and does not see the consequences of his actions. So we may say that this number of bad loans, this number of debts that cannot be returned, and banks know, they sense it, they are now so high that it can destabilize the system in general. Once again, previously, the central bank would help smaller banks, private banks located somewhere in the far east of Russia. But now we are talking about these monsters of the Russian banking system, Sberbank and VTB. I'm sure that many of you watched them on, I don't know, competitions as sponsors, but not anymore. Right now, they are looking for ways to sponsor themselves. And what's interesting, this kind of crisis, it unites everyone, beginning from these big corporate entities and finishing with physical persons, with like entrepreneurs. And that's not yet before they introduced an increased VAT that in 2026 will be 22%, 2% more. And the threshold for those who have to pay it will be way lower. So we may say that right now the Kremlin very systemically destroys the banking system by destroying the businesses. The businesses that are core for the operation and survival of any adequate economy, any normal country. Just think about, they sacrifice manufacturing, construction for the sake of missile production that they later target on Ukrainian schools. Let me know what do you think about this situation, and I need to remind you that the collapse of the USSR was greatly inspired by the collapse of the Soviet economy. That happened because of the economic mismanagement, we have it right now, and exhausting war in Afghanistan. The history repeats itself. And remember to subscribe to witness that collapse of the Kremlin regime together. That will be a beautiful and important day. Also follow me on X, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, and Discord. The links in the description of this video, same as the link to our merch shop with lots of good products that can be your perfect holiday season presents, reminding the world about Ukraine and our need to defeat Russia that has already started selling its gold reserves, which is another proof of how desperate the Kremlin are. And thank you so much for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel. But most importantly, Thank you for standing with Ukraine. Thank you for demonstrating your support of Ukraine and understanding that the only working peace plan is right to defeat and demilitarize Russia. United we stand. Love you. Slava Ukraini!